Because the ebb and the flow is never going to go away. We can't stop the ocean from doing the ebb and flow. So why would we think that we can ever stop that in our own lives, in any area of our lives? We can't grow if there's no balance between the up and the down. Welcome to the Energy Within podcast, helping you to increase your confidence through embracing your weird, taking back your energy and power, and taking action on your soul's purpose. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master teacher, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 200. Holy crap, we are here. And I fully expected that I would come up with some grand, amazing plan and topic for episode 200, make it a huge deal. And it still is a huge deal. I think this is going to be a good one. But I'm not as prepared as I thought I would, where I was going to have like a whole list of things, making sure that I was going to hit certain points. And we're just following the usual format where I have my idea and I'm just winging it, and whatever comes up, whatever downloads are here, whatever shows up is what we're going to go with. But I did prepare in one sense, in the fact that I pulled some cards for you today. And what I've been dealing with a lot lately is the topic of this podcast, the ebb and flow through which we experience life, we experience abundance, the ebb and flow of our emotions, everything that you can think of that has ups and downs, our confidence levels, hello. And I want to throw out there first that part of what prompted this episode is planning for the live meditation that's going to happen Thursday, July 27th. I almost said August because I'm already thinking about August because it's almost freaking August. And we're actually going to talk about that just a little bit. But July 27th, this Thursday at 5 o'clock Central Time, p.m. I almost said there's no way you're getting me up at 5 a.m., but we're also oddly going to be talking about that too, so hold on for that. But this live meditation is going to be the very first one in my new membership that was recently launched called Glow, the Confidence Club, in which I'm offering you ongoing support on this journey through increasing your confidence, stepping fully into who you are, and dealing with these ebbs and flows. So specifically, tomorrow's meditation is going to focus on learning to deal with the ebb and flow of all of this. And not just the typical riding with the ebb and the flow, but learning to exercise a little bit of control and not controlling the ebb and flow, but remaining in your energy and your power to stay in control of the things you do have control over. So that is what the focus of the meditation is going to be. If you can't be there live, that is perfectly fine because these are always going to be recorded. They're going to live in the archives in the meditation. They're going to live in the archives inside the membership. And if all goes according to plan, they will also be turned into MP3s, which will only be accessible to those inside the membership. I have plans down the road to possibly release some of these meditations, specifically the ones that will be coming down the road, which are going to be the sound healing meditations that I keep teasing about but have not yet done. But those particularly, and occasionally some of the regular ones, will be offered outside of the membership but as a paid offer. So if you want to have access to all of them as part of this ongoing support inside the membership, make sure you get in, especially right now, because just through the end of August, I'm going to keep open the founder's pricing. And there are 2 options. So there is just the regular option for right now $33 a month, which gets you access to everything. And then the VIP option, if you know that regular one-on-one support is also something that's going to benefit you, I would encourage you to jump on the founder's pricing, because the VIP option adds the one-on-one option. So you get one monthly private Reiki session with me. And right now, the cost of the VIP membership is less than the regular cost of just a one-on-one. So you're getting the membership plus the one-on-one for less than my regular one-on-one price. And one more quick aside before we jump into everything else. If you are on Insight Timer, if you like to use that app, I would love for you to look me up. The free meditations, completely free meditations that I have put out, I'm going to start putting on there. I'm going to be creating some new ones just for the Insight Timer as well. But the one that's on there right now is one that you may have seen, you might have already listened to. It's my confidence meditation. But if you haven't checked it out, that's one more free space where you can go check it out. There's no strings attached there because it's through that app. The only other string you would ever have is by going to my website to download it for free, where you can get the MP3 and keep it and not rely on an outside app to hold it for you. So whatever way works best for you to access that confidence meditation, I would encourage you to go check it out and give it a 5-star rating. So, I don't know if you're like me. Maybe you are because you're here. But this ebb and flow, can I just say it, sometimes is bullshit. And it's purely from a personal perspective of knowing that I do not always do the best in dealing with the ebb and flow. From the outside, to someone who is not me looking at me, I'm sure I appear to be a very patient, always positive, outgoing, happy person. And I believe that is my true nature, which is why that's what you probably see, what you hopefully see. But, like I say over and over again, we're all human. So, my human side, I definitely can get negative, I can get discouraged, I can fall into long ruts. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see there in particular my up and down, my ebb and flow with consistency. And the ebbs typically tend to last longer than the flows. Because, full honesty, even though I know that's not the point, I get very discouraged by the algorithm, by a low count in views and likes or comments, by lack of feedback. Because even though I know that's not the point, and I have proof that engagement means nothing in terms of growing the business, because I've had some of my lowest performing reels bring me the most amount of business. And this is just me being candid here, so hopefully this resonates with you, with what you're trying to do, with what your personal goals are as well. So even though I know that's not the point, it can get discouraging when you're not getting that feedback, whether it's actual feedback from people telling you that they liked something or not, or just the stupid algorithm agreeing to show your stuff to more than 100 people. It's like, okay, there's billions. Are we into the billions? Is it in the billions of users on all of these social media platforms? So obviously everybody can't see every piece of content. That's just not humanly possible. But you'd think there would be more than 100 people or maybe 200 people that Instagram could try to show it to. And if they don't like it, then it's on the content creator. But, you know, I'm just saying. I'm not saying to you, I'm saying to Instagram. But you would think that makes sense. It helps our confidence. It helps our energy to get that boost. And when you're putting out content that you believe in, trying to spread your message, trying to reach more people, and it feels like it never goes anywhere, it gets discouraging. And I say that for all of us, not just me. So share that part on Instagram. and tag me and tell me you agree with me if you feel the same way. But here's something interesting that I have yet to fully wrap my head around and come to my own personal conclusion on, because I haven't thought too much about it, but it feels like it's appropriate here. So there is another mentor that I started following that I found through Casey Villard, who I've mentioned before, and it was back in the summit that she did a few months ago. This woman's first name is Ruthie, and I'm not quite sure how to say her last name. It looks like Cease, so I would think it's Cease, but I don't know. But on Instagram, I think the XO comes first for her. I think it's XO The Rebel Soul. And I've started following her, and I jumped into one of her free programs called Lead with Love. That was really hard to say. Called Lead with Love. And she talked about something that I know I need to personally work on, and that's the showing up even when you don't fully feel like it, because that's part of my ebb and flow. That's part of my issue with being consistent, is that if I don't feel like it, I won't show up at all. And on one hand, sometimes I feel like that's okay because I don't want to show up in an off-putting energy, which is different to me than being authentic. So it's different than taking the option to show up and admit that I'm having an off day. It's if I'm having a day where I'm just completely off and I don't feel like talking about how I'm feeling. I don't feel like it's relevant to anything, and it's going to come off like I'm complaining maybe, or just showing the wrong side of myself for whatever reason, then I just won't show up at all. Because I also don't want to half-ass anything. And if it doesn't feel authentic to me, I'm not going to bother posting anything. I don't want to make a post just for the sake of making a post, because that's not going to convey the energy or the messaging that I want to put across. So there's a delicate balance there for me that I have yet to figure out, because then if I'm just not in the mood, but I might still be able to put out some good content, I'm still going to let the mood or the lack of energy take over, even if it's just being tired, not even just being in not the right mood or not the right energy. Sometimes it's just being tired and not making myself focus. I feel like there's a balance there with listening to your body, but also pushing yourself. Like I say in my workout classes all the time, listen to your body on what it's telling you, but also push yourself a little bit. It crosses all the different areas of life, things like that. And yet for some reason, I have a hard time applying it to myself in a business sense. Somehow I've figured out how to be consistent with this podcast. But everything else in my life, not so much. The podcast and working out, that's about it. I'm still trying to get it to cross over to everything else. But anyway, the point of this little section was to tell you about what Ruthie said, and it was specifically about, she mentioned compartmentalizing, because without going into detail, because I also don't really know all of the details, but she has a lot going on behind the scenes in her life, and she talks a little bit about it. She's forthcoming in her stories and in her trainings that she's been doing about some of the things that she's dealing with that are really huge, difficult, emotional things to be going through while also trying to grow and scale a business. And she was adamant about how she shows up every day, no matter what. Now here's where I haven't completely wrapped my head around it, because I'm not sure how entirely healthy it is to completely compartmentalize in that way. But I just think, again, maybe it just goes back to balance. To be honest, be real, be authentic about what you're dealing with, what you're going through, what you're working on, what you still need to grow in, sharing those parts of your journey as much as you're willing and able to share, or even just dealing with stuff that you're not willing to share, or maybe you just don't need to share it, but you still have to deal with it in your life. But then still being able to show up in your calling, in your purpose, doing what needs to be done, because in the end, it's all going to tie together and it's all going to work out. I know that's something that I need to work on, is maybe not so much the full compartmentalizing, but finding that balance between listening to my energy, but also overriding it when I need to, so that I can friggin' show up the way that I want to show up as often as I want to show up, which is a lot more than I have been. And I do believe a lot of it comes down to confidence in what we're doing, confidence in our abilities, confidence in our messaging. And I'm not going to go into this part too much, but I know a lot of that is because of how critical it seems like people have become, where there are so many trolls out there and they will comment on the dumbest things. And it's hard navigating that energy. Even if you haven't put anything out yet, or you simply just haven't encountered a troll yet, if that fear is always there, if that worry is always there, it's going to hold us back. And it might keep us more in the ebb than in the flow. So here's where this meditation tomorrow is going to become important in learning not just how to ride along with the ebb and the flow, but to control the things that we can control. Because the ebb and the flow is never going to go away. We can't stop the ocean from doing the ebb and flow. So why would we think that we can ever stop that in our own lives, in any area of our lives? We can't grow if there's no balance between the up and the down. So hopefully this is making sense. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully I will see you for that meditation. Let's talk about the cards that I pulled in regard to the ebb and the flow. And I know these were some cards that I needed to hear. I did my own personal card pull right before this, but it all related, it all tied in. So this is just an extension of my own personal card pull, which is now for the collective, for you listening to this podcast. So I pulled 3 cards from the Energy Oracle and 3 cards from my Fairy Tarot deck. And the cards that I got from the Energy Oracle are Walking Away, the Garden and the Gates, and Angel of Balance. So I think these are pretty easy to sum up pretty quickly. Walking away, I tend to usually take this card to mean just walking away from the things that no longer serve us, whether that's an old version of ourselves or an actual thing or person, experience, a place that we need to walk away from. You know, if that one's meant for you, you know what that is relating to for you personally. I do think in this situation, it's letting go of old versions of ourselves that are now holding us back. They serve their purpose, but now we don't need that version of ourselves anymore. So it's time to grow. It's time to move into the flow from the ebb that we were in. The Garden and the Gates is a card for me of not staying in your comfort zone. I think that we can sometimes make the ebb stay longer than it needs to. And if the flow starts to move outside of our comfort zone, we bring it back quickly. Or if it's not bringing us the immediate results that we were hoping for, we bring it back quickly. We give up. The comfort zone is called the comfort zone for a reason. It's not necessarily because it's exactly what we want our lives to look like. It's not because things are perfect the way they are. Things could suck royally, but it can still be a comfort zone simply because we've gotten comfortable there in the sense that we know what to expect. Even if bad things keep happening, we know what to expect. We know how we're going to react. We know how we're going to deal with it. And then we just get stuck in that loop. So if we can make ourselves take those steps out of the comfort zone, that's when we have the opportunity for growth. When we walk away, we leave the old version of ourselves in that comfort zone and we walk outside. The Angel of Balance is just what I've been talking about, finding that balance, finding our ability to own our energy, to take back our personal power in the areas where we have the opportunity to control it. Maybe we're in an ebb but we're going to own our power and we're going to shift our energy to bring things back into a state of flow quicker. And I also believe this card is about trusting your intuition, because your intuition is probably nudging you to get out of your comfort zone. But we stay stuck in our comfort zone because it's more comfortable there, it's more predictable there. Yet we're uncomfortable there because our soul is nudging us. Our intuition is trying to talk to us, to lead us out of it. Yet we're struggling because we are resisting. But here's the fun part. So, the fairy tarot cards are awesome. If we can shift this energy here that came up from the energy oracle, if we can move ourselves outside of our comfort zone, the rewards are going to be awesome. So, first card that came out was the Ace of Pentacles. And in the Rider-Waite deck, this is considered the lucky card. The general reading for this card suggests a new beginning for projects with excellent financial outcomes and encourages you to grab the opportunities. If we specifically look at this card for a business or career reading, it says success in business and financial ventures. A new project could present itself. The money is there for you to achieve it. But you gotta step outside that garden. Gotta open the gate and step outside your comfort zone. The money tree is entering your career. Possible extra unexpected income. And if your question happens to be, should I take this job, and you get this card, the answer is absolutely. Then the Nine of Wands came out, and the general reading for this says that you are meant to dig deep into your spiritual reserves. You're exhausted, but you keep persevering. You have the spiritual and emotional strength to fulfill your goals. Let go of past battles. So what did we just talk about? Moving yourself from the ebb into the flow. You're exhausted, you're tired, you're beaten down, but you keep persevering because your intuition is nudging you. And here, let go of past battles, walking away from the things that aren't serving you anymore. This card, the Nine of Wands, for a business or career reading says challenges could be present, but with courage, you can fix this. Reflect on the past and acknowledge what strategies or plans have worked and what has not worked. You can be successful, but you need the discipline not to get caught up in past strategies that haven't worked. Let them go. What I get told a lot is that I'm not meant to do things the way that other people do. So all of the trainings that I've taken, all of the knowledge that I have absorbed, all of the strategies that I have tried, good for me to learn, but then important for me to kind of pave my own path, which can be scary, especially if it seems like it's not working right away in the beginning. But this card is encouraging you to let you know that you can do this. You do have the spiritual and the emotional strength to fulfill your goals, but you've got to let go of the things that are holding you back. And then we got the Two of Cups, which suggests spiritual unions and partnerships, beneficial for both parties, equal give and take. Business and career says a working partnership where both parties bring equal effort to the table. So there could be a possibility, whatever you're doing, to partner with somebody. So still use your intuition, still use discernment, but if it feels intuitively like a positive thing, you should go for it. And I will say these feel relevant to me. I'm hoping to lean into this energy for myself as well, for things to, like, all the foundation work being laid. I got a lot of cards telling me that, like, all the foundation work that I've been doing, stuff that I've been laying down to pave the path, is all going to start coming to fruition. And this is where me getting up at the time that I want to get up comes into play. Trusting my intuition, allowing myself to be helped. One of the personal intentions that I set at the New Year's Reiki event that I did last December, some of you were there for that. One of mine was to get up every morning by minimum 4:30, at the latest 5. I think I succeeded one time. And the pull for me to get out of bed was to edit the podcast. And for whatever reason, multiple reasons, some which I can pinpoint, and other nights it just doesn't make any sense. But I have a hard time getting up before 6:30, which I know is still really early. But for me, if I can get myself up a little bit earlier, that should give me a decent chunk of time to myself to get things done that I want to get done for me, for my business, without being interrupted, without having my focus constantly pulled away. Because I am someone who I need a little bit of time to get into the zone. And then I also like to be able to stay there for at least a little bit before I get pulled out of it again. A quick, easy example is if I am writing an email, I read and reread that thing a million times before I actually hit the send button. And it doesn't matter if it's just a personal email, if it's work-related, business-related. And I have found confirmation over the years that I am not the only one who does this, so maybe you do this too. But I have to read it in full without stopping from beginning to end. If I get interrupted anywhere in the middle of that process, I have to start at the beginning, reading it again. I don't rewrite it, obviously, if I get interrupted, but the reading part, I got to start from the beginning again. And I need to be able to read it all the way through uninterrupted because I need to make sure everything flows the way it's meant to flow, that things make sense. That's just the way my personal brain works. So if I can have that time uninterrupted, the process is actually pretty quick, especially if it's a short email. But if I'm interrupted every 10 seconds, because I'm a mom of 2 little boys, then what should have been 5 minutes could take an hour. I know that's a little extreme, a big exaggeration over a short email, but just a lot of things that I try to work on. They're going to take what feels like 5 to 10 times longer than they should when I'm interrupted. So that's my reason, my personal reason for wanting to get up so early, especially now during the school year with one kid and now this year, now both kids being in school, to make sure that I have a long enough stretch of uninterrupted time. That's fortunately or unfortunately my best opportunity. And I have yet to succeed. And I wanted it not to be true. I tried my hardest to ignore it, but this entire year of me not succeeding through this, I kept feeling the number 8, like it was going to be 8 months before I was actually able to succeed. And here's where maybe me stopping resisting and getting so frustrated with my inability to succeed at this and just trusting that it's going to work out. I'm hoping now to speak this into reality by saying this out loud. It's now almost August. And for August 1st, I rarely do this. Despite what time I like getting up, it doesn't mean I want to go anywhere or do anything for anybody else that early. But I agreed to sub a 5:30 a.m. workout class, which means I have no choice but to get up at 4:30. And see, I've asked for help from God, from my higher self, from my angels, from whoever, multiple times. And I often get that help in the form of my kids waking me up or somehow my husband shifting and waking me up. And then my Virgo butt gets resentful that it wasn't my alarm that woke me up, because say maybe it's, 5 minutes before my alarm was supposed to go off. And I want every minute of sleep I can get, especially if I'm now cozy in my bed and I've been in the right stage of sleep. And I reject that help when I get it and I go back to sleep, which is dumb because I'm asking for the help and I'm getting the help. But then I reject it because it's kind of the because you told me to do it, now I'm not going to do it kind of attitude. But now I literally will have no choice on August 1st, the start of the 8th month, to get up at 4:30. Otherwise, I risk being late and getting in trouble. So my hope is that that's not only my intuition being correct on when this was all going to start working out for me, but that hopefully that's actually the trigger to get me in that zone. So this is your call again, to trust your intuition, to trust that if you just keep going, you show up when it's hard, you show up when you're tired, you listen to your body when it's at an extreme point where you know you shouldn't be showing up. But if it's something you know you can control, that you can override, and it's going to be okay if you take control and override it, you know the difference. You know the difference. Then good things are waiting on the other side. That message is for me. That message is for you. So I hope that it resonates. I hope that it motivates you. I hope that it's helpful. I hope that it wakes you up, that it sparks the light in you again, sparks the fire in you again. And I would love to see you at this meditation tomorrow to really help cement this. So I've been talking a lot more lately on these solo episodes. I hope that they're resonating. I hope that they're helpful. If this episode or any other previous episode has resonated, has been helpful, please help the show to reach more people. And you can do that in a few different ways. You can do that by taking a screenshot or doing a screen flow, sharing your favorite part, sharing your feedback on your social media. Tag me. If it's on Instagram, tag my account. I am Carrie Jokala. That is the full name. I am Carrie Jokala. Or hop inside the Energy Within Facebook group and let me know your favorite part, your takeaways there. Let me know what you would like to hear more of. And you can also support the show by leaving a 5-star rating and a positive review on whatever platform you're listening on, if they allow ratings and reviews, particularly Apple Podcasts, which is where I know most of you are listening. And I know that simply because of podcast server stats that show where the downloads are coming from. So, whether you've been here from the start, 200 episodes ago, or 199 episodes ago, or you've recently found this podcast and decided to stick around, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here on this journey with me, and I will see you next time.